itakuwa kubwa sana.
Thank you, CS. Your time is appreciated. Coming to you, Chairperson of the Budget Committee of the National Assembly, Ndindi Nyoro. When we talk about the VAT increment on fuel, this will have a 31% impact on the cost of electricity because we use diesel in the generation of electricity in the country. And it then means that we'll be charging 7 shillings on the fuel cost charge per unit, that is FCC. I mean, when you have an increment on VAT by 8%, which definitely will be pushed to the consumer, then this upscales the cost of electricity in the country. Yet you say you want to manufacture more, that's why you have taxed some of the products that come into the country. Isn't this double standards?
Thank you very much, Ayub. If you allow me, I can answer in a holistic manner the issue of the cost of living, and especially in a comparative sense. In a comparative sense by using inflation, because basically, and I'll go technical first, then I'll go to what we are doing across the entire bird of the cost of living. First of all, when we talk about inflation in Kenya, let me start with the technical side. We talk about, number 1, food inflation, number 2, what we call fuel inflation, and number 3, what we call core inflation. The reason I've tabulated those is to also tabulate also what are we doing on each. The cost of living is high, and I agree. And the first step towards solving a problem is to accept that there is a problem. The point of the matter is that it would be an ideal situation if, and especially the commodities that we use on the day-to-day as Kenyans, are at a much lower price. That is the ideal situation. But now, we are where we are. How are we there? Number 1 is that globally, there has been global inflation, and especially stemmed by the fact that we have seen, you know, it is usually said, when the US coughs, all the other economies catch cold, and especially emerging economies like ours. We have seen Fed increase the Fed rate 10 times in a row, 10 consecutive times, to a point where now the Federal Reserve rate is now at 5.2%. But we are not in America, we are in Kenya. Kenya plugs into the global economy. That is a fact. Most of our fuel, not most, all of our fuel products are imported. And therefore, when there is a variation in terms of the currency at which we pay it, then that cost also spirals now to what we pay at pump. That is on the fuel. And that is the fact of the reason why fuel is high. Let me talk about subsidy before I go to food inflation. You know, majority of the people, and especially in the opposition, they keep citing the price of fuel then and the price of fuel now. And of course, as you tabulated very well, it is about the subsidy. 70 shillings in this product, the other product, that other amount of subsidy. What Kenyans must know is that the subsidy that was there was subsidy in terms of lip service. It is now us who are paying for this subsidy. In this current budget that we are making, the one that we submitted today, we are actually paying 25 billion. But let me go to food inflation, because I don't want to take all the time on one segment. In terms of food inflation, food inflation and fuel inflation, you never solve them using monetary tools. You solve them using physical policies. And the physical policy we are taking in terms of the cost of living in the segment of food inflation is that, yes, there has been supply chain cuts, and especially globally after the Russia-Ukraine war. Russia and Ukraine, by the way, were the number 1 importers of wheat combined, number 1 importers across the world. Now to them it is the export of edible oils. That is a supply chain cut. Okay. Now what are we doing currently? In this budget, we are putting in money for fertilizer. Why? We have to be inward looking in terms of food, the value chain of food. We are, if you check even in the finance bill, we have talked about manufacture of fertilizer inside, and we have exempted all the raw materials used in that regard, as we have done also in terms of the inputs of people who will be manufacturing inputs within agriculture. So there is something we are doing in the budget, tangible, allocation of money in terms of value chains, in terms of production of food, and also I have said about fuel.
Did you say that the Russia-Ukraine war has had effect on the global food supply chain?
It has had a big effect in the global food supply chain.
Including in Kenya.
And also in terms of prices.
Even
but
in Kenya?
We cannot keep on ranting.
Okay. Including even in Kenya?
Including in Kenya.
Okay.
Across the world.
Okay,
across the globe.
And one final question.
Yes.